All right, so those ones were dealing, or the previous problem was dealing with vertex form, which is what we did in 2.1 as well. The only thing new really was the increasing, decreasing, and stating a max or min, and the axis of symmetry, I guess. So in number 2 here, this equation is in standard form. Remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? C equals the y-intercept. So I know on the y-axis, I'm going to have a point there. I'm not making it big because that is not my vertex. Well, I guess it could be, but I don't know if it is. Okay, to find the x value of the vertex, we use the equation negative b over 2a. So I'm going to plug in the b and the a into that. So I get negative, my b here is 2. If there's not a number in front, its number is 1. So my b is 2 over 2 times 1. So I have negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. It simplifies to negative 1. All right, so if I'm writing out my vertex here, I know that the x value is negative 1. I don't know the y value yet. So I'm going to take this x value, and I'm going to plug it in. Hold on a second. Erase all that. I'm going to plug it in everywhere I have an x in my original equation. Okay, so y is going to equal x squared, so negative 1 squared, plus 2 times x, which I said was negative 1, plus 1. All right, plug that in your calculator. We get 1 minus 2 is negative 1, plus 1 is 0. So our y value here is 0. Okay, so I can plot my vertex on the graph. At negative 1, 0, I have my vertex. So I'm making it bigger because that's my vertex. Okay, those points that we memorize, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. Take the x values and square them. Y equals x squared. That's the parent function. I don't have a here is 1, so I'm not multiplying y by anything. So I'm just, from that point, I'm going to graph these. Remember, this is your vertex. From the vertex, you go right 1, up 1, and left 1, up 1. Well, I already have the right 1, up 1. That was that y-intercept, so I only need to put that one. Okay, then from the vertex, I go right 2, up 4, and left 2, up 4. And from the vertex, I go right 3, up 9, and left 3, up 9. And that's slightly off the graph, but I can make it work. And then I make my parabola. Remember, it's curved. There's no real straight parts of it and no pointy edges. All right, our axis of symmetry is that vertical line that cuts our graph in half, that if I were to fold it, one side would be on top of the other, okay? And that is a line, x equals whatever the x value of my vertex is, so it's negative 1. And that is what I put here. It wants me to label it on the graph, so I did. And I'm writing it down below. Max or min. Okay. Here's where the vertex is. It happens to be the bottom of my parabola, so it is a minimum. The graph doesn't go down below it. And that y value there is 0. So the axis of symmetry uses the x value of the vertex. The max or min uses the y value. Helps if I type right thing. Okay, domain is left to right. Hopefully you still remember negative infinity to infinity. Range is how far down, so this is y values. It goes down to 0, so it's a bracket, goes up to infinity. Now, increasing and decreasing. So when I drew my parabola, connected my dots there, from left to right, I went down to the vertex, and then I go up away from my vertex, okay? Anytime I have a down arrow, that is decreasing. If I have an up arrow, that is increasing. So my decreasing is coming from negative infinity and stops when x is negative 1. My increasing starts when x is negative 1 and goes to infinity, so it'd be a positive infinity. So I took my domain and I broke it in two at the x value of that vertex. You just had to remember which one was increasing and decreasing. I feel like I was supposed to label something else. You were. You're supposed to label your vertex. Sorry about that. -1, 0. I labeled it on my graph. Okay, let's go on to number 3. Okay, so this again is in standard form. So I can only graph right now my y-intercept of -1. Remember, that's what that is. So the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, and c is that y-intercept. So just looking at the equation, that's all I can do so far. But we need to find our vertex. So I need to find x equals the -b over 2a, and then I can find my y. So let's see. A is right here. B is right here. And if there's not a number, it's 1. So if I plug in, I get negative, whoa, I didn't write. -1 over 2 times 3 halves. And it's not writing, I'm sorry about that. Okay. So -1 makes a +1. 2 times 3 halves, those 2's cancel and just leaves me with 3. So I get a 1/3. Yes, it's a fraction. That's okay. Okay. Now we need the y value. So I'm going to take this value for x, and everywhere in my equation that I have an x, I'm going to substitute that in. Okay. I'm going to do it down below here. So I have 3 halves times 1/3 squared minus 1/3 minus 1. So plug all that into your calculator and leave it as a fraction. We want perfect answers. I mean, you can have it as a decimal just for graphing purposes, but like my calculator gave me the decimal as -1.16 repeating. Okay. You can change it to a fraction by pushing that math button. It's the third one down on that left side. Number 1 underneath it says frac. Push that and then enter again, and it will change it to a fraction, which is -7/6. So my vertex is 1/3, -7/6. I know, that's not pretty. It's okay. Fractions are still numbers, even if you don't like them. So if I plot this, if I go 1/3, which is about 0.3 to the right, and down 1.3, it's like right here. Okay? So from here, remember those points that you memorize. We multiply the y values by a, which is 3 halves. So I'm going to multiply by 3 halves. And this time I am going to just leave it as a decimal here. So, because it's 0.5. So 1 times 3 halves is 1.5. Okay, 4 times 3 halves is 6. 9 times 3 halves is 13.5. So when I go over, remember this is the vertex, so this is this point. So when I go over 1, it's 1 from there. So it's still at a 1/3 mark. It's not exactly on a thing. And I go up 0.5. Sorry, my brain just kind of quit for a second. So I go up 0.5. So there would be 1.5 would put me right here. And I do it this direction too. So you look, it'll go through that y-intercept. Okay, so I go right to up 6. I know this one's harder to graph, but from here I go right to, so I'm here, and then I go up 6 from here. So 2, wait, that's 1, sorry. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will be right there. And of course I lost it when I did that. So it's like right there. And it comes over and mirrors over there. And then up 13 is going to be off the graph. So I'm going to go ahead and just graph my parabola. Give you a little bit of time. Pause the video if you need to, if you guys need more time graphing that. So the axis of symmetry is what goes through that vertex. It's this line. So my vertex here was 1/3, -7/6. And this axis is x equals 1/3. Whoops, I don't know why I put parentheses. No parentheses. So axis of symmetry, x equals 1/3. Now, this one has a min. It has a bottom to it. So it doesn't have a max, and its min is that y value, which is -7/6. Domain, -infinity to infinity. Range is those y values, so it's that min, -7/6 to infinity. Increasing and decreasing. So as I drew it, going to the vertex, I was going down. Away from the vertex, I was going up. So this is decreasing, increasing, okay? So decreasing is -infinity to the vertex when the x is 1/3. Then at the vertex, when x is 1/3, it then goes to infinity on the right side. Okay, I think that's where I am going to stop you for today because I know watching videos is just not the easiest thing. So we are going to stop the notes right here. I want you to go to your practice. Here, I'll write it down. Let me go to a blank page here. Oops. So go to your practice. Ooh, can't see that color. Let me see if I can make it thicker. Yes, I can. Whoa, not that thick. And do problem number 1, 3, 5. Well, hold on. Let me just look. Do the whole first page. How about that? Do page 3. Okay. And then on the second page, do not do number 1. So on page 4, you're going to skip number 1. We're going to come back to it, but do 39, 42, and 48. Yes, I know they skip numbers. These correspond with your textbook. So you have all of page 3 and 3 problems on page 4 to do today. The rest we will finish on Monday. And like I said, if you don't get this all done, it's okay. You'll have time in class Monday, but you need to be working. And you guys can work with your tables because I do want you guys trying this skill for the first time on a quiz on Friday. Don't panic if you don't get it. You'll try it for the second time the following Friday. So try 1 is just for me to see what you know on Friday. All right? You guys have a great rest of your day.